So I've recently revisited Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within, and something fascinating struck me. Almost everything he teaches about state, about belief, about leverage, about decision, felt like an echo of teachings that were articulated over 1,000 years ago in Non-Dual Shaiva Tantra. And I'm not surprised, really. Not self-help, not motivational hype, but metaphysics. So today, in this video, I want to share with you something powerful, how modern peak performance psychology mirrors classical non-dual tantra, and why understanding the roots makes the work deeper, steadier, and more liberating. So if you've ever felt that mindset work helps but doesn't fully satisfy, stay with me in this video. William Pearce, welcome back. Okay. Point 1, state is everything, which is a reflection of Tantra's view of consciousness. Tony says, state determines your decisions. Emotion is created by motion. In Non-Dual Shaiva Tantra, consciousness is described as chit, pure awareness. But this awareness expresses itself as vibrating experience called spanda, the subtle pulsation of reality. What Tony calls state, Tantra calls bhava, your felt condition of being. You do not have a state, you generate one. Tantra goes further. You are not trapped in your state. You are the awareness generating it. Tony says, change your physiology, change your state. Tantra says, shift your attention and embodiment, and the field of experience reorganizes. Both point to this truth, that you are not your emotions. You are the one producing them. The ground upon which they are bubbling to the surface of consciousness. This is profoundly liberating. Can be. Okay, point 2. Beliefs create reality. In Tantra, this is Maya. Tony teaches nothing has meaning except the meaning you give it. And in Non-Dual Shaiva Tantra, this is called Maya, not illusion as fake, but illusion as misperception. We superimpose meaning onto neutral reality. We see rejection, we feel failure, we experience betrayal. Tantra says these interpretations are contractions of consciousness. Tony says, change the meaning, change your life. Tantra says, withdraw the projection and recognize awareness itself. Same insight, different depth. Same insight, different depth. Tony works at the level of belief. Tantra works at the level of identity. I had this comparison. It's like Tantra is pure mathematics, understanding the foundational structure of reality, and Tony's work is like applied mathematics. It's, okay, how do we take that understanding and actually do something with it? Okay, point 3, raise your standards. This is a reflection of Vak Shakti. Tony speaks about raising your standards, turning should into must. In Tantra, the divine expresses itself through 3 primary powers. Vak Shakti, the power of will, Jnana Shakti, the power of knowing, and Kriya Shakti, the power of action. Vak Shakti, the power of action. When Tony says change happens when it becomes a must, he is activating Vak Shakti, focused will. And here's the difference. Tony frames it as something psychological, whereas Tantra frames it as ontological. Your will is not merely personal motivation, it is a current of the universal will expressing itself through you. When your will aligns with your deeper nature, You become powerful, and it doesn't need to be forced. Okay, point 4. Leverage and pain, and how this is the tantric use of shock. Tony speaks about leverage. Associate massive pain to not changing. In classical Tantra, transformation often occurs through ukura, an energetic surge, sometimes shock-like awakening. This is Shaktipata, the descent of power. Tantric texts speak of awakening through intensity, crisis, emotional rupture. Why? Because contraction becomes visible when amplified. Tony uses leverage to create immediate pattern interruption. Tantra uses awareness to dissolve the contraction at its root. One uses intensity to motivate change. The other uses awareness to transcend the pattern itself. Again, both achieving the same thing, just being approached in a slightly different way, and to have the choice to understand both ends of the spectrum or both sides of the coin allows you to play between the two and get there perhaps even quicker, which is exciting for me, especially the work that I'm sharing now. Okay, point 5. Physiology and pattern interrupt from Tony and spanda and kriya in Tantra. Tony emphasizes change your physiology, interrupt the pattern, install a new one. Tantra speaks of spanda, the vibratory movement of life. Samskara, ingrained patterns. Patterns are vibratory grooves in consciousness. Tony says, interrupt the CD. It speaks of how we have these grooved patterns in our mind, and it's like putting a CD on. Every time you play the CD, you get the same track. And to be able to listen and enjoy a different piece of music, you have to interrupt that groove and replace it with a new one. Tantra says recognize the pattern as arising within awareness. Tony rewires behavior. Tantra dissolves identification. Both create freedom. And Tantra goes one layer deeper. You are not the CD. That's essentially it. It's like, yes, I acknowledge that you can change the CD and recognize that you're not actually the CD. You're the one playing it as well as the CD. Okay, point 6. Communication with yourself with Tony and Vak Shakti with Tantra. Tony says the quality of your life is the quality of your communication with yourself. And I would very much attest to this. In Tantra, speech is sacred for Sanskrit. Vak Shakti, the power of speech, is creative force. It's the thing that separates us from every other species on the planet. It's the power of speech. It is the power of God. Words don't just describe reality, they shape perception. This is incantation. Mantra works because vibration recognizes consciousness. Hey, buddy. When Tony teaches incantations, he is actually, from my perspective, echoing mantric practice, embodied language, physiology, emotion, repetition, ancient technology. There's the difference between, he speaks about affirmation and incantation. Affirmation and incantation, there's a difference. An incantation is saying, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. Or I love you, I love you, I love you. We can say these words without actually there being an emotional resonance, weight behind it. Whereas an incantation is when your whole physiology, the emotion, is a part of it. Because in tantric teaching, thoughts and emotions are the same layer of consciousness. You can't have one without the other. Whereas in English, at least linguistically, we can express thought without emotion. This is why Sanskrit is a powerful language. Okay, point 7. The 6 human needs with Tony and the play of consciousness in Tantra. Tony identifies 6 human needs: certainty, variety, significance, love, growth, and contribution. Tantra would say that these are movements of the divine seeking to know itself. Consciousness contracts into individuality through anavamala. the impurity of individuation, this sense of smallness, this false belief that we tell ourselves of not being enough. We then seek certainty to feel safe, significance to feel large, love to feel connected, growth to feel expansion. And these are not flaws. They are simply expressions of longing for wholeness. They are God wanting to expand and know itself through this longing, through this Vak Shakti, this divine desire. Tony optimizes how you meet your needs. Tantra dissolves the mistaken identity that creates the hunger. Okay, point 8. Decision as destiny. For Tony, recognition, pratyabhijna with Tantra. Tony says, your life changes the moment you decide. Which I like. It speaks into, so in Latin, we have incision, so to cut in, and decision is to cut off or from. It's to remove all other possibilities, to take the island by burning the boats. In Non-Dual Shaiva Tantra, liberation occurs through pratyabhijna, recognition, not becoming something new, recognizing what you already are. Decision in Tony's work is a psychological commitment. Recognition in Tantra is an existential remembering. Both create shifts, and recognition removes the root illusion of insufficiency. Not trying to take away from one or the other, but see how they're a beautiful marriage when given the opportunity to view them in such a way. Point 9. Where Tantra goes beyond peak performance. Tony helps you perform better, influence others, create momentum, achieve success, which I love. I think it's like the application of timeless wisdom. And there's a reason why Tony is as successful as he is and has touched as many people's lives as he has and supported as many people as he does. Tantra asks, who is the one seeking success? And that's not to say success is wrong or bad. There are these two goals, if you will, of spiritual practice. It's liberation and worldly enjoyment. It's a recognition of the divine that exists within you, and then an enjoyment of worldly pleasures. It's getting to have both. Tony helps by optimizing the self. Tantra questions the solidity of the self. Peak performance is powerful. And without inner recognition, you may succeed and still feel subtly restless. Non-Dual Shaiva Tantra doesn't remove ambition. No, it removes the sense that your worth depends on your outcome. Because that is freedom. Tony said, when you can find happiness in a smile, then going to the moon gets to be the cherry on top of the delicious cake. He doesn't say that. He says, finding joy in a smile, then you are rich, then you are wealthy. Rich, like full richness is being able to find joy in a smile. This is because if you need to go to the moon to find your happiness, then nothing will ever be good enough for you. But if you can find it in simply a smile, then you'll always be rich. And that's the freedom I think he's speaking into, and that Tantra speaks into. Okay, point 10, integration. Modern fire and ancient depth. I really am enjoying Tony's work. And I'm excited to build upon it and share more of it. It moves people. It energizes me. It awakens will. It inspires, or it has for me, And when you layer it, when I've layered it with Non-Dual Shaiva Tantra, what you get is state mastery and identity recognition, belief change and awareness shift, leverage and liberation, strategy and surrender. One without the other can feel incomplete. But together, they create aligned power. They create aligned power. So a closing reflection for you. A question. Are you trying to improve the character or recognize the consciousness behind the character? Both matter. And one brings peace. Both bring peace. If this perspective has plucked something inside of you, expanded something for you, please feel invited to let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious. It's my nature. And if you'd like to explore how peak performance psychology and Non-Dual Shaiva Tantra integrate in practical ways in business, in leadership, ultimately in relationship, that's the work I'm devoted to. We do that with sex prayers, supporting singles in readying themselves for relationship, and with contact massage in supporting couples ready to deepen into intimacy. Because transformation is powerful. But recognition, that, my friends, is freedom. Thank you for joining me in this video. See you in the next one.